The following video that you are about to watch is a segment from the JT Sports Podcast. You can listen to the newest episodes of the JT Sports Podcast in its entirety on any podcasting platform. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from, the JT Sports Podcast is available. All you have to do is go to your preferred podcasting platform, type in JT Sports Podcast in the search, and it will pop up. Or you can go down to the description or the pinned comment section down below and access the podcast that way. Any video that is uploaded on the channel is available in audio format on any podcasting platform. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you guys go ahead and leave a 5-star review and enjoy the video. The New Orleans Saints are going on the road to take on the Baltimore Ravens this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the preseason game this week that I'm the most excited to watch because I get to see my guy, Jameis Winston. Now, for all of you new subscribers out there, you guys may not know this, but I am a diehard Jameis Winston fan. Jameis Winston is my favorite player in the NFL, one of my favorite NFL players of all time. And a little bit of backstory of why I'm a diehard Jameis Winston fan. So I had a teacher back in 8th grade who said that if I got 100 on his test, he would buy me a Jameis Winston jersey. Now, I had to get a Jameis Winston jersey because he will only buy me a player that played on Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he was a Buccaneers fan. So I said, you know what, just go ahead and get me a Jameis Winston jersey. And I still have that same jersey. I've been a fan of Jameis Winston ever since. He's won me a lot of fantasy football leagues, which may sound crazy to you, but Jameis Winston, when he has been my QB1 in fantasy football, I have won the championship every single year besides last season because he didn't start. I won it with Justin Herbert at the helm at QB. So I'm a diehard Jameis Winston fan. Now, Jameis Winston, I think, is going to do a lot of good things this season if he ends up getting the starting nod at quarterback for the Saints. He's been going viral for all of the wrong reasons. He's kind of been like a meme. He had like some drill that was on the NFL Network being covered that he ended up stumbling in, and it was really funny. He has some awkward and weird workouts that are really effective, by the way. If you are a young quarterback, you can definitely try to do some of the workouts that Jameis Winston does because although they may seem a little bit silly at times, they do improve you as a quarterback overall. Now, when you look at Jameis Winston, I think that he gives the New Orleans Saints the best chance to win this year. I think that he has a way better arm than Taysom Hill, and I think he's just a way better overall quarterback than Taysom Hill. But when you look at Taysom Hill, obviously he started in a couple of games last year in replace of the injured Drew Brees, but the thing that I notice about Taysom Hill is that he doesn't really have that strong of an arm. He gives me Tim Tebow vibes. And I like Taysom Hill a lot. I think he's a great athlete, but I just think that Jameis Winston is the better overall quarterback. And it's very important for Jameis Winston to have a good starting preseason game against Baltimore to show to this New Orleans Saints coaching staff and Sean Payton that he definitely is the best quarterback on this roster. According to reports right now, Jameis Winston is the favorite to win that starting quarterback job. But I think that this is going to be a really good game in determining how far Jameis Winston is. Now, Ian Book is another quarterback who isn't really in the QB1 conversation, but I definitely think that a lot of Saints fans need to keep their eyes on Ian Book because potentially if Jameis Winston balls out this year, he ends up leaving in free agency for another team for a bigger deal, and you don't really trust Taysom Hill, Ian Book may be the quarterback of the future if you can't keep Jameis Winston and things don't work out with Taysom Hill. So definitely keep your eye out on Ian Book. He was a very good quarterback during his time at the University of Notre Dame, had a lot of success, won a lot of games there. He has a little bit of mobility. He has pretty good accuracy. His arm strength is a little bit, not all that great. It's above average. But overall, I think he is a very good fit in Sean Payton's offense. And I do expect to see a little bit of Ian Book in this game. We probably won't see him until late in the fourth quarter. Now, wide receiver is the biggest question mark for the New Orleans Saints. Michael Thomas is injured. Don't know really when he's going to come back, but he's probably not going to participate in the preseason at all. You have Traquan Smith, who is expected to have a breakout year. He's probably the best wide receiver on on this team at the moment. Then you have Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harris, LaJordan Humphrey. So it's going to be really interesting to see what wide receivers make a name for themselves in this preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens. And by the way, the Ravens, unlike the majority of the teams out there that participate in the preseason, they have a lot of talent at corner. Not only are their starters really good, but their backups are also really solid as well. So this wide receiving core for New Orleans is definitely going to get tested. This isn't going to be one of those games where your wide receiving core is just going to eat up on a bunch of, lower guys on the depth chart that can't really play all that well. Like, you have guys on this Ravens depth chart at corner that could start on a handful of other teams. So this Saints wide receiving core is definitely going to get tested in this game. Don't think if you're a Saints fan, just because your wide receivers are going against backups doesn't mean they're not going to get tested, because the Ravens have a lot of depth at corner. Then you look at defensive tackle for New Orleans. That is another concern that some Saints fans have. This is going to be the game that we're going to kind of see, what defensive tackles are going to be able to make their presence felt, who's going to continue to compete to be one of the starters on this roster come week 1. Then, corner. Who's going to be the second cornerback on the opposite side of Marshawn Lattimore? Now, you have rookie corner out of Stanford, Paulson Adebo. I like him a lot. This guy has great length, great size, great athleticism. He's not afraid to come downhill and make a tackle. I think he's a very good physical press man-to-man corner. I'm interested in seeing what he does in this game. You also have Prince Amukamara. But other than that, I don't really know the other cornerbacks that they have on this roster. So this is going to be a game that, for those cornerbacks out there who are trying to end up getting a starting nod, this could be a great opportunity for them to do so. But I'm leaning towards Paulson Adebo. Not a popular name amongst a lot of other non-Saints fans out there watching this, but definitely a guy who I think can end up having a very good rookie performance this season, especially in this preseason game. Now, for Baltimore, you, like the Saints, have some questions at wide receiver also. Now, you don't have the similar concerns that New Orleans has, because you do have your wide receiver number 1 and 2, whether that be Marquise Hollywood Brown or Sammy Watkins, but you pretty much have your 2 wide receiver spots locked down. Now, Rashad Bateman, I don't know if he is going to participate in this game. He was the Baltimore Ravens' first-round pick in this past year's NFL draft out of Minnesota. He suffered a soft tissue injury in practice just recently, a couple of hours ago. So I don't really know how that injury is going to affect his status to play in this game. The Ravens coaching staff right now doesn't really know how severe the injury is at all. It could be severe, it could be minor. So we don't really know his status when it comes to his availability in this game. But you do have another rookie wide receiver who I'm really high on, who you drafted in the 4th round of this past year's draft, which is Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State. Now, I believe that Tylan Wallace was one of the biggest steals in the draft for the Ravens. You got him in the 4th round. I thought he was probably going to end up going early in the 2nd. At least in the 3rd round. So the fact that you got him all the way in the 4th round, it's a huge steal, because he also is more than capable of being able to step up and be your number 1 wide receiver. But you also have some guys who could be competing for a roster spot. Miles Boykin was somebody who was supposed to have a breakout season last year for Baltimore. He wasn't that impressive. You got James Proche, Devin Duvernay, who are probably going to be fighting for that other slot receiver spot. So the wide receiver position for Baltimore is really interesting. Now, unlike New Orleans, you know who your number 1 and number 2s are probably going to be, but you don't really know who your 3, 4, and who your slots are going to be. The backup quarterback battle is also really interesting for Baltimore. You got Trace McSorley taking on Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley, man, when he got in, I forgot what game it was, man, but you wouldn't have been able to tell the difference between him and Lamar, because Tyler Huntley is a better athlete than what I thought he was coming out of Utah. And out of Utah, like, everybody knew he had some wheels, but it looks like he gained a little bit of speed since his time in the NFL, because this dude can flat out run. Same thing with Trace McSorley. Now, Trace McSorley isn't, as fast as Tyler Huntley, but he is pretty athletic in his own right. So you have a really interesting backup quarterback battle taking on. Now, it's going to be be interesting to watch if Baltimore keeps both of these two guys on the roster. Are they going to have a quarterback 2 and 3? Because Lamar Jackson is really good friends with Tyler Huntley, so maybe that's another reason why they keep Tyler Huntley on the roster. But I can easily see Baltimore bringing 3 QBs into the season just in case, unfortunately, somebody goes down with COVID-19 or whatnot. So really interesting to see who's going to win that backup quarterback gig for Baltimore. Definitely going to be paying attention to that in this game. We should see a lot of these two guys. Now, my players to watch for the New Orleans Saints are going to be Jameis Winston, like I mentioned earlier. I want to see how he performs in this game. We haven't really seen a lot of Jameis Winston getting a lot of playing time since 2019, which was his last time being the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this is going to be the first full look that we have of Jameis Winston with a full offseason to learn Sean Payton's system. I want to see how his decision making has improved. I also want to look at rookie Ian Book. I want to see where he's at in terms of his development as a rookie. You also got tight end Adam Trotton. I'm sorry if I butchered his name. Adam Trotton. The New Orleans Saints drafted him not too long ago out of Dayton. He was a man amongst boys. Many people consider him to be the best tight end coming out of his draft class. But, you know, everybody has the, well, he didn't play anybody. It's the competition factor. But when he was playing at Dayton, man, like, this man was the best player on the field. He was a man amongst boys. Go back and watch Adam Trotton's Dayton highlights. Like, this dude was doggone near unstoppable. And I feel like he could have a breakout season for New Orleans. So if you're watching this game trying to figure out, you know, some fantasy football sleepers or some fantasy football steals that you could get late in the draft, Adam Trotton definitely is the guy who you should check up on. You also got rookie edge rusher Peyton Turner, who you drafted in this past year's NFL draft. I'm excited to see what he does. He could be somebody who competes and pushes Marcus Davenport if Marcus Davenport has a disappointing season. Players to watch for the Baltimore Ravens. Already keep my eye on rookie Tylan Wallace. He has really good hands. I think he's really good down the field. He's a very good deep threat. He can catch those 50-50 balls. Like, a lot of people are really sleeping on Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace was one of the biggest steals from this past draft. Halfback Justice Hill. Justice Hill has been on the Ravens roster for over the last couple of years, and I've yet to see him make any impact. When I gave the Baltimore Ravens their draft grade a couple of years ago, I said that I didn't really like the Justice Hill pick because I didn't really know how he would fit into the offense. Baltimore likes physical bruising backs. Justice Hill is the complete opposite of that. He's more of a change of pace back, and a lot of Ravens fans saying, oh, Justice Hill is a good pick. He's going to be very critical in the passing game. He's going to be that change of speed back. And so far during into his Ravens career, we haven't really seen that much of Justice Hill. So I want to see Justice Hill make something shake in this game, and he should get a good amount of workload. I'm also looking at edge rusher Jalen Ferguson coming out of LA Tech. I was really high on him. I also think he is a guy who could end up having a breakout season for Baltimore, and you definitely need some production from that pass rush this season with the loss of Matthew Judon and Yannick Ngakoue. You do still have Calais Campbell, but definitely looking for some production out of him. And rookie slot corner out of Ohio State, Shaun Wade. A lot of people, including myself, criticized Shaun Wade for his play this past season when he was playing for Ohio State. He was supposed to be a first-round pick. I was telling people I didn't think Shaun Wade was going to be a first-round pick, simply for the fact that I don't think he's a good outside corner. He's better in the slot. He can play slot. He can also play a little bit of safety as well. Well, the Ravens drafted him in the mid-round of the draft, and they have him at slot. So I think that that's a very good place for him, and he could be competing for some early playing time this season. So I'm excited to see Shaun Wade perform in this game. So this is it for my New Orleans Saints versus Baltimore Ravens NFL Week 1 preseason preview. You guys let me know some things that you're going to be watching this game. What are some players that you're also going to be keeping your tabs on as well?